All right, good morning, agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing here at Alta Realty Group. And today we are going to go over some great holiday marketing ideas. So, holidays are just around the corner. It's always interesting when you're shopping for Halloween things and everybody's already has Christmas stuff. So, that part's a little weird, but it was, always this real huge signal that yes, the holidays are upon us and it's time to start thinking about all things holiday, and that includes marketing. So, today we are going to go through some great tips, some good ideas. And before we get into today's presentation, we're going to bring Bill Seitz, corporate broker for Alta Realty Group, on the line. Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. I'm doing great.
All right. And we also are going to have Raquel Bauer from Legacy Escrow join us. But before we get into that, what's going on out there, Bill?
Well, I don't think I was on last week. I know you went through a few things, but I did want to just take the time to rewind a second. And the Broker Tuesday tip was last week was the home buyers are scoring the biggest discounts since 2019. So there was a bunch of stats about average sale to list price ratio has come down. There was a bunch of statistics about buyers having the ability to negotiate concessions, and so I think that's a really important, many statistics in that category to remind yourself when you're writing offers. We're helping Brian Jordan and a couple of his clients up in the Bay Area with, I helped him actually structure the deal, and also we're doing the financing. But they were able to get $36,000 in closing costs from the seller on a $975,000 purchase price, which was not only able for them to eat up all of their closing costs and all of their prepaid interest on the loan for the first month, but it also got them to buy down the rate over half a percentage point. So, you know, it's it's something to think about. If you're not at least trying to negotiate that into your contracts, I think you're doing your buyers a disservice. It seems to be the right time, and you can do a lot with that negotiating power, especially the properties that are sitting on the market for a certain amount of time, or don't have multiple offers, or sellers. Well, we say this time of year you have the real buyers and the real sellers because uh, you know, if you're trying to sell your home through the holidays, you're probably pretty serious at selling your home. If you're trying to buy a home during the holidays, you're probably a pretty serious buyer. And in those situations, you can negotiate, um, good deals that work for both parties. So that is the reminder from last week, right?
Yep.
And then I will go into this week. And one was the essential things for being successful at Alta Realty Group. We have some new agents on this morning. So if you're not used to our weekly training and how we run things, this is our time to get together as a company that is like a hybrid. And we're not virtual, but we're small office space, but we are here every Wednesday. And this is a chance for us to discuss real estate, discuss all things that we find important, from marketing all the way to financing and contracts and everything in between, right?
Yep.
And one of those important things is just attending these meetings. We cover so much stuff. And for example, I had unfortunately an agent that I'm not here to call anyone out, but they ran into a problem this week where they didn't fill out their BRBC. They left it blank. So they didn't fill out any compensation for, they were going to represent both seller and buyer. And they left the BRBC blank. The file is getting very close to closing. And they had 3% on the listing side. So 3% compensation for from the seller just for doing the listing, but uh, there's nothing in them for representing the buyer, and the seller was willing to pay up to 6%. And so the agent asked me, "Hey, can we change this? Can we fix this?" And the answer is no. You can't make those changes mid contract. But we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I don't know if everyone remembers. You can make adjustments to the BRBC. You can make adjustments to the listing agreements. It just has to be done before you go into contract. So that is a huge thing for me to convey to everybody, so you're not leaving money on the table. And unfortunately, in this case, I think if this agent had made the time to be on the webinar, maybe this mistake would not have happened. And we're talking thousands of dollars that is now no longer applicable to this agent. And if we fudge the rules and make these changes to the contract inside of the escrow, well, then you're opening yourself and the brokerage up to liability, because the seller can come back and say, why wasn't this done on the front end? Why did my agent try to push me to change the compensation the last 5 days of escrow? So you can see where that gets real sticky potentially. But those are the types of things that we like to discuss here on the training, so that you guys are well versed in how to earn the maximum compensation, but also how to make adjustments along the way. So attending these meetings, super critical in my opinion. I think it's really a big deal. Lastly too is earning the loyalty points. The example I gave with Brian Jordan, he's using Clearview Mortgage. He's going to get his loyalty points, and he's going to get his flat fee reduced, and his compliance fee waived. So it's a win-win for everybody. You can really excel at that, and make the extra money.
Yeah, putting extra dollars in your pocket is the name of the game here. So that's a huge one, Bill. Thank you so much for going over that because, I mean, if you're not putting in your compensation into the contract, I mean, you're just, you've pretty much failed there. So that's just like the most important thing that we can do is make sure that we have our compensation spelled out.
Well, just knowing that, if you go, like I've always said, and those of you that have been on this, in our trainings for the last year and a half, this has been a big, heavy lift for the industry. That we didn't have to do these things, right? The seller
Yeah.
would pay all of the compensation. Now we have to have the BRBC. Now we have to do things differently. And I've always said, put 3% in, for your BRBC. You always can reduce it, but you can't go backwards inside of the transaction. So, and that
Yeah.
goes to the listing agreement too. It's just, you got to be aware of these things so you don't leave compensation on the table. And it's nothing worse than doing all that work and then finding out you're not going to get the extra $15,000 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. So thank you for that, Bill. Real quick, Tanya Blackley has a quick question here. Does Clearview offer reverse mortgages? Absolutely. Unbelievable reverse mortgages. Tell
Yeah,
her
we
about it.
work with a couple different lenders that do reverse mortgages. So if you want to give me a shout off after the meeting, happy to help you out with answer any questions for you.
All right, perfect. So, yeah, go ahead.
Lastly, Kevin, I wanted to say one more thing.
Sure.
Amelia is still patiently waiting for her baby. So she has not had the little guy. He's still, doesn't want to leave the womb. He's nice and comfy in there. So, but it should be any day and any moment. So I will do a quick little mortgage summary. I don't know if everyone was listening last week. The Fed cut rates by a quarter point. But guess what happened? The markets did not move. In fact, they went up the following day, albeit very small. But the news, and there you go. It's actually up 15 basis points from last week. So
Wow.
it's funny because I had a client telling me, basically telling me I need a better interest rate because rates got cut. I said politely. Unfortunately, rates actually went up. So um, we try to help everybody understand the craziness of the financial markets. It's not across the board like we always talk about, that just because the Fed cuts rates, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And I do expect that to probably trickle down here. But one last notation on the mortgage rates. I did listen to a report from the CEO of United Wholesale yesterday, and they basically took like a survey and 98% of borrowers, consumers, believe that rates aren't going to be getting significantly better in the near future. So that was an interesting stat that I took away from that, uh, you know, you know, basically presentation that he did. So, I think we're going to probably be hovering in this, 4% range, maybe just slightly under if we get a little bit of a downward trend on interest rates. So, um, yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, so not there's just not much movement expected. But also, what's so interesting is last week we talked about when we see these movements and we inform our clients about that stuff, and then they come back up. It's like, well, yeah, I told you when it comes down, lock it in. Don't expect for rates once they come down a significant amount. There's not that many times, and look at this whole graph where they just, plummet after they come down, right? So, it definitely lends you credibility with your clients. So,
They always seem to climb faster than they go down. It's just the nature of the beast for whatever reason.
for sure. So now we are going to bring Raquel Bauer from Legacy Escrow on the line. Let me find her 1 second here. And there she is. Good morning, Raquel. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm very well. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wednesday to all.
I'm here to just go over a preliminary title report because I'm trying to encourage all agents when they get a listing to get a listing prelim so that I can help with certain situations like this. And this is what I do all the time for you guys if you do these listing prelims. Of course, this front page is the front page. It just says who the title officer is, property address, legacy escrow, order number. Then on the second page, it says on number 2, I just want to point this out. It says the actual name of the trust, but if you read all the way to the end where it says subject to items number 12 and 13 as shown in Schedule B, this is very important. This means that the title company is not passing on deeds that were recorded without title insurance. So these are very easy for me to fix if you have these. If you get the listing prelims, these are the reason why listing prelims are so important, because I can get these taken care of and get them removed so that when you do go under contract, your prelim doesn't have that subject to with those items. If you scroll down to the item numbers 12 and 13, they're on page, one's on page, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, one's on page 12. One's on page 5, 12, and
Okay.
13. So if you hover over that blue area, these are called hyperlinks, and you click on them. Basically, what happened in this situation, just really quick, is that both of these individuals, they were brothers. They were successor trustees of their parents' trust. They removed it out of that trust and put it into their own trust. And then one of the brothers deeded off and put in, they were in individually. One was individual and one was in trust. Then he deeded into his trust. All this did was just cloud title, but title company just says, hey, we just get them to sign an affidavit of uninsured deed, meaning that those deeds were uninsured, and provide us with proof, and we'll get this cleared. And it's really easy to do that. It's so simple. But this is the reason why listing prelims are important, because if stuff comes up like this and we have a cash deal, 15-day close, we're running around trying to get everything taken care of. So that's basically, my job to help you guys once you're under contract. So that way we have a smooth contract. So then if you go to page 3, if we go back up to page 3, it just tells you about your legal description. And that's basically just telling you lot, tract, book, page, and all of that. And then if you hover over that little blue APN number, that will also open up your plat map, which is also attached to the bottom. But if you like to hover over everything like we do, that's also there for you. And then on page number 4, just goes through property taxes that are coming up, property taxes that are due, paid or not paid, supplementals, any possession or rights for any public roads or records. There's easements, so on and so forth on this one. This one also, because it being in LA County, it also states that LA County, this particular property fell into the area of it having a city tax. That's another reason why having a prelim, listing prelim, if you're doing anything in counties that have a city tax on top of the county tax for the deed when it gets recorded, they put this in there for you guys so that we can already be prepared to let your seller have a net sheet that has that on there for them based on whatever listing they do or sales price that they're looking to take on an offer. And then basically the rest of these are CC&Rs, agreements for oil and gas field, just basic prelim stuff. Nothing that's going to hurt this. When I look at this, nothing that's going to hurt it. It all follows the actual property, except for those items 12 and 13, which I got these removed. And then just basically stating that there's no open deeds of trust, meaning like there's no mortgage loans on the property. If there was, it would show a deed of trust and it show the amount, the lender, the date that it was recorded, and the recording number. And then the next page just states that, that the title company on any information we give them to open the actual prelim, because we have a contract, they will list here all parties, meaning buyers and sellers, or just the parties that they need a statement of information on to clear title for them. And that's basically it on your prelim. These are so great. Listing prelims are so great and so helpful to make sure that you have a smooth transaction, and then we can make sure that your seller is getting everything up front. I'm working with an agent, Seth, on one where two of the parents resigned out of their trust and the daughter was put in as the new trustee. And we're not even under contract, and I've already got the form for her to sign and have it notarized so that we're ready when we get a contract in. So those are kind of things that are on the upfront, and I'm happy to help on those. Because
Yeah, and I just want to add something here. I'm sure if we took a real honest survey of how many of us actually read this stuff, we would probably see maybe not a huge percentage. And this is such a huge help for you as an agent to have someone that is so well versed in this, like Raquel is, that it's going to save you a ton of time and a ton of headache, and any issues that are possibly are resolved on the front end. This is absolutely worth every penny in utilizing Raquel and her services to save you headaches, to know how to navigate things, to know how to remove clouds on title or anything issues that come up ahead of time. Because as even DJ Bibb, our fidelity rep, has said, the last thing you want to do is get into contract and have something pop up that's going to delay your closing or potentially prevent you from closing. And so Raquel's happy to help you guys. Obviously, she is our escrow officer at Legacy Escrow. I know Kevin will throw up her information there at the end of the webinar, but huge benefit, huge service here. So take advantage of it, and maybe you'll start learning and being a pro like Raquel is with this stuff.
Always here to help every agent shine. That's my job, to make you look good to your clients so that you're all prepared when that contract comes in.
And she does. So remember, Raquel is a huge resource for all of you. So don't hesitate to utilize her services.
Thanks, Raquel.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. All right, so let's move swiftly into our feature presentation. And so the holidays, as I said, great time of year to not only have a lot of fun, and people get excited about the holidays, and everybody starts feeling good about the holidays, and it's just a great time of year, but also good time of year to just make sure we're kind of doubling down on our marketing messages, and exactly what we're doing, with respect to how we treat our clients and how we make sure that we remind them that we're here. So let me switch screens here for a second. can actually scroll on my screen. But it's a really an important time of year for all of us to just, make sure that we are, putting our best foot forward. We're always looking for reasons to, reach out to our clients, make sure that we're, top of mind. And it's literally one of the easiest times of year to do that. So hold on here, folks. Yeah, so um, when we're going forward and we're doing all of our, uh, marketing, it's really just like a no-brainer to be able to, reach out to our clients at this time of year and say, hey, thinking about you, great time of year for handwritten notes, great time of year for really any of the things that we do. And it's almost expected, not expected, but it's not, out of, left field that we are, you know, uh, showing our clients appreciation. So a few different ways that we can do it. And it's interesting because we kind of go through these things pretty regularly just because they are great, ways uh, to show appreciation anyway. But uh, we always talk about having to do or the need to do client appreciation events, right? And this is like the easiest time of year to have an excuse for a client appreciation event, right? Summertime is pretty easy too, barbecues, this and that. So if you're going to do two a year, a holiday party and a summer party would be first of all, they're on the opposite spectrums, they're at the opposite times of year, but I think those are the kind of the easiest ways to do these client appreciation events. And it doesn't have to be much. Like I always say, it can be, as easy as, an ice cream parlor. You go down and, buy ice cream for all of uh, clients and people that are in your sphere of influence. This time of year, it's fun to do little things like maybe even like a gingerbread making party or tree trimming or, some kind of holiday, themed event. Super easy. It's lots of fun. People are generally in a good, headspace. And so I think it's just a really easy thing to do a client appreciation event at this time of year. So a couple other, ideas would be a donation station. That's a really good one. We always talk about, the need for realtors to do charity events. And so a donation station, sponsoring your favorite charity, that's an easy one too. So you can kind of do, a two for one where you're donating to charity, you're having your clients come and help with that effort, and you're, just, meeting with your clients, staying top of mind. One thing you definitely want to keep in mind for the holiday parties is you don't want to be too salesy. I think it's pushy. I think just the fact that you're doing them is ticking the box, which is you're there, you're reminding the people in your sphere of influence and your past clients that you're still doing real estate and you're giving back. You're not out there just like, hey, can I help you buy it or sell a home? You're just there. And I think this is a perfect time of year to just do that. Um, Number two would be personally presented small tokens of appreciation. So I think and everybody on this call has their, whether you know it or not, you have your A list, B list, C list, or however you want to call it. You have different tiers of clients that fall into those categories. So at a minimum for your A list, you want to, if possible, present a small token of appreciation personally, and it could be the simplest of things, a little cookie cutter or a bag of cookies or, a small, oven mitt that's holiday themed. These things are so easy, a little cutting board, right? Doesn't cost that much money. You're just going to be giving out to your A-list people, and that goes a long way. Same thing, dessert for the holidays, super easy. Bake up some cookies, Make some holiday themed Rice Krispie treats, whatever it is, whatever your favorite is, and present those to to maybe you do that for all the B-listers, right? And then doing things like holiday themed open houses also kind of give you that same holiday feel. It really helps people enjoy the holidays. I think a lot of times your sellers really appreciate that if they're selling their house around the holidays. They a lot of times will have their house decorated, and if not, you can kind of help them do some decorations. Doesn't have to be much, but you can just have that holiday style and that holiday uh, theme to the open house. Super fun. I think both the seller and the clients that come through and looking at the home definitely enjoy that. I know my wife is a fanatic about Christmas, about all holidays, in fact, but Christmas is her favorite holiday of the entire year. And so she really gets excited when things are holiday themed. So easy deal there. Handwritten holiday cards, always a favorite of mine. Super easy. You can bust those things out in an hour, throw them in a envelope, put an actual stamp on them, and mail those out. They go a long way. Everybody, appreciates a handwritten note for all different kinds of reasons, but about around the holidays, super easy. Great reason to do it. And again, zero salesiness. Just, hey, happy holidays, thinking about you. Hope you guys have a great year. Just super simple, can be two sentences. Call it good, sign your name, and that is another great touch. Reminds people that you are there doing your job, you're the professional, and they just get that little tap on the shoulder. Holiday cards with a small token inside. Good little, cross between the two, right? And then also consider giving something simple like a $5 Starbucks card, right? Really easy, a couple $100. You can get it out to, your A and or B list clients. Make sure that they're thinking about you this time of year. And then a really cool just idea once you've been doing this holiday, marketing effort is just make sure you keep it going into the new year, right? So it's like I said, super easy, very, very simple to do this kind of thing, around the holidays. It's almost expected. But just consider keeping customer recognition in your entire marketing plan. So don't just do it at the holidays, continue it through the year. Continue to do the handwritten notes, continue to do the drop-offs of the gifts, continue to do client appreciation parties, continue to give out gift cards. Make it part of your overall marketing strategy. And this is how you will get the most business, the most referrals, the most conversations about real estate. So if you keep that in mind, that is what it will make your overall marketing throughout the year a winner. So, Bill, any takeaways from today's holiday marketing?
Well, it's all good stuff, and I think some of the stuff probably um, aligns, or certain things maybe gravitate to everybody differently, what suits their personality and what suits their comfort zone. So you named a bunch of different things. I kind of like the Thanksgiving handwritten note, because it's kind of a little different. We all get holiday, Christmas cards and stuff, which I really enjoy. I like seeing everyone's families. I like seeing kids grow up, and it's a year later and they're bigger, and you kind of get to see the families, which is kind of a no-brainer. But I like that Thanksgiving handwritten card because, one, it shows that, gratitude, and we always talk about gratitude on these trainings from time to time. And it's also, Thanksgiving is personally my favorite holiday because it's not commercialized other than food. So it's not a holiday that we, really traditionally exchange gifts, or we have all, expectations to fulfill, other than just being around, people that you enjoy. So I really like that one. I think people would really appreciate the thanks, a Thanksgiving card, just saying, "Hey, I hope you have a great holiday with your family. Appreciate you as a friend or a client, and blah blah blah." Like that's gonna go maximum mileage, right? Um, and all the other ones are great too. But remember, this is an overall strategy, and if you haven't been doing the stuff that we've been talking about, you've been procrastinating a little bit. If you're slow, you know we talk about it over and over. Keep updating your list, keep adding to your list. We just helped Jeff Brown get um, his farm over in Norco Hills going with DJ Bibb and the title rep, and it was something like 7 cents an email, or I forget exactly what the cost was. Very very cheap. So he basically essentially got his list in order very quickly for the neighborhood that he's been working for over 20 years, but also is adding new people into that farm. So um, it's an overall strategy. It's nothing's ever going to be a one and done type of thing. But if you haven't started, now's a great time. It's that time of year where um, you can definitely make an impact.
For sure. And like we always say, consistency is the key. You can't just, throw something out there once and expect for it to work. So consistency is the absolute key. And congratulations to Jeff. Jeff's been with us for years. I think he's been with us for 7 or 8 years. And he finally upgraded to program 2. We got him the CRM, we got him the website. And so, he started working with DJ Bibb, got, his farm list uploaded into, and of course, I helped him with the entire thing. So he's now, working on all of his marketing. He's doing outbound marketing, and he's going to be really successful. We just started with this last week, and we're already seeing, little bits of people, responding. Another huge shout out to both Rhonda Butler and Crystal Burns, other awesome realtors that have been working with me. And Crystal last week sent out a happy Halloween text through the Sierra marketing system, and she got a whole bunch of responses. She did get a few responses and she has a massive database, but she did get a few responses of, take me off your list and things like that. But we're boiling her list to a head and making sure that it's just the important people that actually want to work with us, right? So huge shout out to those realtors. They're taking the steps to, further their business. So I was really, really glad to work with them as well.
It's funny, Kevin. I have a quick anecdote. I had to run into the pharmacy literally on Halloween to grab something, and whatever, it was Halloween night. Blah blah blah. My kids are older now. They don't Halloween means nothing pretty much to my kids at this point. But I went back to the pharmacy the next day, and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck happened in the last 12 hours?" It was literally all Christmas stuff. I was like,
Yeah.
like who was working overtime to do that overnight, because it was literally pumpkins and candy every shelf, and then it was like Christmas trees and like flocked like stands. I was like, man, who actually does this overnight?
Right? Nobody didn't go to sleep. I guarantee it.
It was totally shocked. I was like, wow, here we go. We're I'm always a post Thanksgiving guy for Christmas. I'm not a pre Thanksgiving Christmas person, but I get it. People, it's most people, it's their favorite holiday. So yeah, here we are. It's gonna come quick. So now's the time to start thinking in those terms.
100%. Don't wait. Don't blink either.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, as always, great information. Covered a lot of territory. Went a little long today. Not bad. But once again, we are here to have quick, efficient meetings. Know that we're here to provide value for everybody. Here to help. And yeah, hope everybody has a great rest of the week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Raquel. And I hope everybody gets out there and makes it a great week. Make it a productive week. You've got a lot of the keys to the city now. Just do a few of them and you're going to be successful. But get out there, be successful, and we'll see you all on the webinar next Wednesday. Bye-bye.